So anyway, like some of this stuff is quite easy to take off. Recycling, that's the hook. Oh yeah, that's the hook. Check out the dirt. Ugh. Well, I started with several lengths of scrap timber. I will put a picture at the beginning actually, because I do have some footage of it. Might need a rasp on that. That was a bit of a bugger. Yeah, that's been in for 50 years, that one. Oh, 50-year-old one. What a shame. Look at that, as easy as you like, that one. And I've been kind of sawing it up to create this kind of a thing. So for example, this is 35 inches high. It's all in imperial because I thought I'd go American, sort of Saxon style rigidity. Anyway, so it's 35 inches high, and then the distance here is something like 1 7/8 of an inch, and so I've used a Euclidean formula to bisect the 5.1 inches I was going to say, but it isn't actually. It's 5 1/8 inch the diameter here, and just to get technical, anyway, I've just slotted that in with a hammer and chisel just to create a slot. Now I could always, you know, screw it from the back if I don't like the way this is done. So the lengths of scrap timber have sort of slotted together to create the beginning of a frame. Now I thought I'd document it at this stage to make it look more obvious of how it was made. So just using the simplest tools I can, try and stay square by cutting along your pencil line or one side of it, staying consistent to yourself. This is just a regular hand saw. I think it was used to be a school saw, and this is just a G-clamp, and this is a garden bench, which just goes to show you need a bench before you can make a bench. So that's the first side stretcher, and while it's in this position here, I can now go ahead and measure the position for the next side stretcher, and that's going to use a set square. That's been measured from top to bottom. Use a set square, and I haven't got the set square with me, which is a bit disappointing. Wait there a sec. Yeah, here we are, quite a vital thing really, and just put that on the side there and pencil line those round, and then be able to carry it on round that side, and it'll be nice and square. Measure it down, the same thing, and then you have to draw a sort of, I haven't got a square that does that line. Anyway, that's the line I'm talking about. But you just use a set square, measure your lines, keep it symmetrical, chisel it out. I think I might be going on about this a little bit too long. So my lines that have been measured all line up, and they're ready for cutting with a tenon saw and knocking out with a chisel. Just using my tenon saw. The idea is to get a nice straight cut down where I've penciled. A bit more accurate than a rip saw. Could use a rip saw, but I've got a tenon saw, and otherwise I'd never use it. So after notching that out with a chisel, the side stretcher pops in, and now with the measuring I've just got to notch this one out, and that'll be this side stretcher. And I haven't actually got enough timber to do a pair of bottom ones out of the same wood as this, but I have got some spare rotten stuff floating about, which I might put a pair of base stretchers in. But at the moment that's alright, that's supposed to fit like that. It's all measured up, and can use a set square later, of course. So in the end I didn't put any stretchers down here. I figured I might put a base shelf in later, so it probably didn't need the stretchers here. I ran out of timber anyway, so I just would have notched in a little bit. I've got enough for one side but not the other. There's a little bit of room possibly for a drawer later on, but now I've got to just glue it and screw it basically, and that will provide the sort of chassis for me bench. So even if the top doesn't work out, I can always get a piece of plywood and you know, like it ain't no thing. I might even be able to do them laterally and just attach them here rather than lengthways. Anyway, the options are still open, but the frame, that's how I will put the frame together, with the minimal processing really, because the timber, I haven't had to saw the timber into any other shapes. Fighting already. It's going to slip on the gravel, making it rather tricky to do it up. ice rink. So I just lent the top, what is the top at the moment, the top Mark 1, so I'll be changing that top, but that's the top as it is at the moment. So it's like the Mark 1 top, just lent that against here just to give it a bit of stability, because on the gravel it was like an ice rink. Still is a bit unwieldy, ungainly. Question of getting a feel for it, which I haven't got at the moment. So I'll give up for have a cup of tea or something. Right, selection of screwdrivers as well. Question of getting the right feel for it. Don't think that screwdriver is even going to last a moment. Don't like doing it like that. Get slippage. Cut ya. Yeah, so even with the best powered screwdriver in the world, if you can't apply a force in this direction, even your best driver isn't really going to be a lot more effective than doing it by hand. So. Rock and roll. I want it all to fall on the edge. So near and yet so far. There you go. Ah, that'll do you. So it looks like I'm still going to have to plane this flat, because it's not sitting flat. But it will give it a lot more rigidity in this sort of cross